He supports my dreams. That's what she told people when they asked about him. Not me, him. The man she left me for. I found out because one of our old friends, the kind of mutual connection who doesn't know when to keep their mouth shut, repeated it to me at a barbecue. She said it like it was meant to soften the blow. Like maybe I'd appreciate hearing that at least she was happy. But I swear to God, those 4 words sliced deeper than anything she could have said herself. Because what she was really saying was that all the nights I stayed up late working extra hours, all the weekends I gave up so we could afford her classes, all the times I sat in the front row at her recitals or talks or whatever phase she was in, that didn't count, none of it. Not because it wasn't real, but because I wasn't him. And then the kicker, the one that turned those words into something almost cruelly comedic. He supports my dreams, like the one where she marries him, and I pay her alimony. I laughed when I thought it. Laughed the way a man laughs when there's nothing left to do but laugh. That hollow, cracked sound that startles even you when it escapes your chest. Because isn't it funny? Isn't it rich? She painted me as the villain who clipped her wings, and now I'm the one footing the bill for her to fly straight into his arms. Let me back up. Let me tell you how we got here. Because it wasn't overnight. These stories never are. We met in college. She was the girl with the big ideas, the one who could hold a room with her smile, the one who never seemed satisfied with the life she had, always wanting more, always reaching further. I admired that about her. It was intoxicating, really, being with someone who made you feel like maybe the world wasn't as small as you thought. She said she wanted to change lives, wanted to do something meaningful. I didn't have a plan like her. My dream was simple: to love her, to build a life together, to make sure she had the space to chase whatever wild ideas she woke up with next. So I became her anchor. I took jobs I didn't love so we could pay rent. I sat quietly when she vented about professors or bosses or auditions or competitions, nodding, encouraging, reminding her she could do it. I held her when she cried, celebrated when she won, and kept steady when she stumbled. I thought that was enough. But dreams are tricky things. They grow, they shift, and sometimes they outgrow the people who nurtured them. At first I noticed little things. She'd talk about him, this friend she met through work. Someone who just gets it. She said he asked about her projects in a way that lit her up, that made her feel seen. I told myself not to be jealous. After all, I asked too, didn't I? But maybe I didn't ask in the right way. Maybe I didn't use the magic words that made her feel like her heart was the center of the universe. Then came the late nights, the networking event, the inside jokes I wasn't part of. When I asked, she'd smile and say, "Relax. He supports my dreams." Like that was supposed to explain everything. Like I should be grateful someone else was carrying the weight I had been lifting all along. And then one day she was gone. Not in the dramatic, slamming the door kind of way. No, she eased out, slowly, gently, like a thief who didn't want to wake the house while stealing everything inside. A suitcase here, a drawer emptied there, fewer calls, fewer kisses, until one morning I woke up and half the bed was empty. Half the closet too. She left a note. Not even handwritten, typed, printed, folded on the kitchen counter. She said she loved me, but she had to follow her heart. She said I deserved someone who shared my vision of life. She said she hoped one day I'd understand. I stared at those words until my eyes burned, and the only thing I could think was, how do you explain to someone that your dream was them? That while they were busy chasing some future version of themselves, you were already living yours, just being by their side. Weeks passed, then months. I tried to move on, but her shadow lingered everywhere. And then came the divorce. Lawyers, papers, numbers scribbled on lined pads. Numbers that reduced years of love into cold, hard math. And suddenly there it was. Alimony, my money month after month, ensuring she could live comfortably while she pursued her dreams, with him at her side. He supports my dreams, she told people, but really it was me. I was the one funding it. The irony was so sharp it almost tasted metallic in my mouth. He gave her the words, the emotional fireworks, the validation she craved. I gave her the roof, the food, the time, the stability, and now I give her the financial freedom to keep pretending I never matter. Do you know what it feels like to work hours of overtime, to sacrifice nights out, to say no to yourself over and over, just so the person you love can have more, and then be told you never supported them? It's like bleeding out for years, only to be accused of hoarding bandages. And yet here I am, paying her to live the life she always said she wanted, paying for the ring he slid onto her finger, paying for the coffee shops, where she scribbles down ideas he praises her for. Paying for the dreams. She tells everyone he supports. It would almost be funny if it didn't hurt so much. But here's the thing. Pain has a way of sharpening you, of forcing you to see truths you ignored before. And the truth is, maybe I wasn't supporting her in the way she wanted. Maybe what she needed wasn't someone steady and practical, but someone who fed her fantasy. Someone who told her the world would bend to her if she just wanted it enough. Maybe my mistake was believing that being her anchor was enough, when all along she wanted wind. Still, I can't help but think anchors matter too. Dreams don't fly without something holding them steady. And the cruelest part is, while she's out there soaring, I'm the one who made it possible. I'm the invisible scaffolding holding up the building, while he gets to stand on the rooftop with her and wave to the crowd. And every month, when I see the money leave my account, I think about it, about her smile, about his arm around her, about the way she says, he supports my dreams. And I wonder, does she ever remember who made those dreams possible in the first place? Does she ever think about the man who loved her enough to bleed quietly so she could shine loudly? Or am I just the footnote in her story, the ghost paying for her happy end? Because if that's the dream she's chasing, the one where she marries him and I pay her alimony, then maybe I was never really in her story at all. Maybe I was just the preface, the setup before the chapter she really wanted began. And maybe the cruelest truth of all is that I still can't decide if I hate her for it, or if some part of me still loves her enough to want those dreams to come true, even if I'm no longer in them. I used to think there was dignity in silence, that if I kept my head down, signed the papers, sent the money every month, and didn't make a scene, somehow I'd come out of this whole thing the bigger man. But silence doesn't feel like dignity when it's forced on you. It feels like swallowing glass, day after day, pretending it doesn't cut your throat on the way down. The alimony payments became like clockwork. Same day every month, same amount, same sting in my chest when I saw the numbers leave my account. At first I tried not to think about where it was going. I told myself it was just money, just numbers on a screen. But then she posted. Of course she posted. Smiling photos with him, glasses of wine clinking, her captioned musings about chasing dreams, living authentically, finally being seen. And I'd look at those photos knowing that in some small way, I was underwriting them. The dinners, the vacations, the very stability she bragged about finding in him. My sweat, my hours, my compromises, still paying for her life, even now. He supports my dreams. That's what she kept saying. I couldn't get the words out of my head. Every time I heard about something new she was doing, another class, another workshop, another retreat, I wondered if she ever stopped to think who was really supporting them. Did she ever look at him clapping for her latest accomplishment and feel even a flicker of guilt, that part of the reason she could chase those dreams was because I was still paying the bills she didn't have to worry about? Or did she rewrite the story in her head so cleanly that I didn't even exist anymore, except as the villain she escaped from? The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. Not the kind of anger that explodes, but the kind that builds in layers, heavy and suffocating. It was there when I woke up in the morning, when I dragged myself to work, when I tried to sleep at night. This constant hum under my skin, this sense that I'd been erased from my own life. She had taken our history, everything we built, and distilled it into a narrative where I was the unsupportive one, the obstacle, the reason she had to leave, and now she got to play the heroine, while I played the fool paying her to live happily ever after with him. I remember one night, I sat alone at the kitchen table staring at a stack of old photos, us in the early years, smiling, arms wrapped around each other, a look in her eyes that felt like forever. I wanted to rip them up, I wanted to set them on fire. But I didn't, because even though I hated her for what she'd done, some part of me still missed the woman in those photos. The one who used to say we were the dream. And that's what made it worse. Because I didn't just lose her, I lost the version of myself I was with her. The man who believed love was enough. The man who thought sacrifice was noble. The man who didn't think twice about giving everything, because he trusted it was for both of us. That man was gone, and in his place was someone harder, someone quieter, someone who didn't recognize his own reflection in the mirror. Friends told me to move on, to stop looking at her posts, to stop caring about what she said, to stop letting the past chain me down. They meant well, But moving on isn't that simple when the past keeps taking money out of your account every month. Moving on isn't that simple when the person you loved rewrote your story without your consent, and the whole world seems content to believe her version. I started drinking more than I should have. Started working longer hours, not because I wanted to, but because being exhausted was easier than being awake with my thoughts. There were nights I'd stumble home, collapse into bed and think about her voice, soft and certain, saying he supports my dream. And I'd wonder if she ever remembered that I did too, that I was the one who held her up when no one else believed in her, that I was the one who told her she could when she thought she couldn't, that I was the one who sacrificed pieces of myself so she could feel whole. But maybe that's the cruelest part. Maybe she does remember, and it just doesn't matter anymore. Because in her new story, he's the hero, and me, I'm the footnote. The name on the checks that keep arriving, faceless, silent, easy to ignore. And yet, even as I drowned in that bitterness, something inside me began to shift. It was small at first, just a flicker, but it was there, the realization that maybe, for the first time in years, I had no one left to support but myself. No one else's dream to bankroll, no one else's ambitions to torture over my own. Just me. The thought scared me. It also thrilled me, because if she could rewrite our story, maybe I could write a new one too. One where I wasn't just the man paying for someone else's dream, but the man finally chasing his own. The day I stopped flinching at the sound of her name wasn't anything grand. It wasn't like I woke up and suddenly felt healed. No, it happened on a Tuesday afternoon, at the bank of all places. I was there to sort out something with my account, the same account her alimony came out of. And for the first time since the divorce, I didn't feel that punch in my gut when the teller mentioned her. I just nodded, signed what I had to sign, walked out. And as I pushed open the glass door into the sunlight, it hit me. She didn't own me anymore. Not even with her words, he supports my dreams. God, those 4 words had haunted me for so long. I thought they'd be etched into my skull forever. But standing there with the sun on my face, I realized they weren't mine to carry. They were hers, her lie, her version of events. And if she needed to paint me as the unsupportive villain to make her new life look shinier, that was her problem. My truth was different. I had supported her, maybe more than anyone should ever support another person. I had broken myself in half to hold her up. And if she couldn't see that, if she couldn't honor that, then she never deserved it in the first place. It took me months to get there. Months of anger, months of replaying old fights in my head, months of drowning in silence. But somewhere along the way, I started picking up the pieces of myself. I signed up for classes, not for her, not to prove anything to anyone, but because I wanted to. I called up friends I hadn't seen in years, the ones I pushed aside every time she had a crisis that needed my full attention. I even took a trip alone. No agenda, just me and the open road. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine, and that was the difference. For the first time in years, my life was about me. Not about keeping her afloat, not about making sacrifices she'd never remember, not about paying for dreams that weren't mine. Just me. The payment still went out every month, of course. Alimony doesn't vanish just because you find yourself again. But even that started to feel different. It wasn't a chain anymore. It was a transaction. Cold, simple, and stripped of the meaning I used to give it. She wasn't my responsibility anymore. No matter how many zeros left my account, she wasn't my story anymore. I heard she got married. Saw the photos through the same friend who always seemed to accidentally bring her up. White dress, wide smile, him standing tall beside her. People clapped, people cheered, people posted hashtags about love winning, and I sat there staring at the screen waiting for the bitterness to rise. But it didn't. Instead, I just felt done. Like I was watching the ending of a movie I'd already walked out of an hour before. Whatever dreams she was chasing now, they weren't mine to pay for anymore, not in my heart, anyway. Do I still think about her? Of course I do. You don't spend years building a life with someone and erase them like chalk on a blackboard. Sometimes I miss her laugh. Sometimes I miss the way she used to squeeze my hand twice. Our little code for I love you, but then I remember the note she left on the counter, the message I saw on her phone, the tears she weaponized when I told her cheating hurt me too, and the way she told the world he supports my dreams as if I never had. And the ache fades. Because the truth is, I don't want to be remembered as the man who bled quietly in the background of her story. I don't want to be her preface, her stepping stone, her invisible scaffolding. I want to be the man who walked away, who rebuilt, who figured out that supporting someone else's dream doesn't mean killing your own. So now when I hear her words echo, I twist them, not out of spite but out of reclamation. He supports my dreams. Fine. Because I finally support mine. And maybe that's the real ending, not the bitterness, not the anger, not even the alimony. The real ending is me standing in my own life, breathing freely, writing a story where I'm not the ghost haunting someone else's happy ending. A story where I'm the one who gets to dream, and this time, I don't need anyone else's permission to chase it.